Welcome to Beyond the Scarlet Moon, where the shadows of the season come alive. Christmas may be a time for joy and cheer, but tonight, we unwrap the darker side of the holidays. From haunted hotels to ghostly carolers and mysterious visitors, here are 3 spine-chilling Christmas stories that will make you think twice about the magic of the season. Are you ready to step into the darkness? Let's begin. The Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, is a place steeped in history and in ghosts. Its halls are said to be haunted year-round, but one chilling encounter during a Christmas party in the 1930s has become legend. The story begins with a young woman named Theodora. She checked into the Crescent during the holiday season, a lonely figure, quiet and withdrawn. No one knew much about her, only that she kept her room locked at all times. One cold, snowy evening, Theodora vanished. Her room was left untouched, her belongings perfectly arranged as though she had planned to return. But she never did. The staff searched high and low, but no trace of her was ever found. Years passed, and the hotel carried on, its reputation for ghostly activity growing. But it wasn't until the 1970s, during a grand Christmas party, that Theodora's presence was felt again. Guests were gathered around the towering Christmas tree in the lobby, laughing and sipping mulled wine. The air was festive, until a guest noticed a woman standing by the tree, dressed in an old-fashioned gown. She was pale, her eyes hollow, her expression distant. She didn't speak, but seemed fixated on the ornaments twinkling on the branches. When someone approached her, she whispered a single question. "Do you have the key?" And then she vanished. To this day, Theodora's ghost is said to appear every Christmas season. Guests report strange whispers near the tree and mirrors fogging up with the words, "Find the key." No one knows what she's searching for, but one thing is clear. Her spirit is forever tied to the Crescent Hotel, lingering in the magic and the mystery of Christmas. In a quiet English village, Christmas was always celebrated with music. Carolers would wander the cobblestone streets, their voices ringing out under the glow of lanterns. But one snowy Christmas Eve, the carolers brought something far more sinister than cheer. Eleanor, a widow living at the edge of the village, waited eagerly for the carolers to arrive. She'd heard their hauntingly beautiful songs earlier that evening and lit a lantern by her door, hoping to invite them in for a warm drink. As the hours passed, the singing grew closer, but something about it was wrong. The melody of "God Rest Ye Merry, Gentlemen" sounded slower, mournful, almost like a funeral dirge. When she peered out the window, she saw a line of figures standing perfectly still on her snow-covered lawn. The carolers. Their faces were shadowed under their hoods, but Eleanor could see their eyes glowing faintly, like embers in the dark. The singing grew louder, echoing unnaturally in the still night air. Terrified but curious, she opened the door. The carolers stopped singing and stared at her. She froze. Their feet weren't touching the ground. One of them stepped forward, its hand reaching out. Eleanor slammed the door, her heart pounding. From inside, she heard the singing begin again, louder, more urgent. By morning, her neighbors found her unconscious on her doorstep, the lantern still burning. She refused to speak of what she had seen. All she would say was this: never open the door for them. Since then, villagers swear that every Christmas, the phantom carolers appear. Their song drifts through the streets, beckoning. But no one dares open their door, not if they want to live to see another Christmas. In the 1940s, deep in rural Canada, a family found themselves snowed in during a brutal Christmas storm. The Wilkins family lived in a small farmhouse surrounded by dense woods, isolated from the nearest town. On Christmas Eve, as the wind howled outside, they heard a knock at the door. Thinking it might be a stranded traveler, Mr. Wilkins opened the door. Standing there were two children, a boy and a girl, no older than 10. They wore thin, old-fashioned clothes, entirely inappropriate for the freezing weather. They didn't speak, didn't shiver, didn't even blink. The mother quickly invited them inside, wrapping them in blankets and offering them hot cocoa. But the children refused to eat or drink. They simply sat by the fire, staring at the family with hollow, empty eyes. The father asked where they had come from, but the boy only said, "We're waiting for them to come back." "Who?" the father asked, but the children didn't answer. As the hours passed, the atmosphere grew heavier. The family began to feel dizzy, like the warmth of the fire wasn't enough to keep the cold at bay. When the clock struck midnight, the children stood and walked to the door. "Don't go out there," the mother begged. But they opened the door and stepped into the snowstorm. The father grabbed his coat and followed them, but when he reached the porch, the children were gone. Only 2 sets of footprints led into the woods, but they stopped abruptly, as though the children had vanished into thin air. The next morning, shaken and cold, the family told their neighbors what had happened. That's when they learned about the 2 children who had lived nearby. Over 50 years ago, they had died in a snowstorm trying to find their way home. The Wilkins family never spent another Christmas in that farmhouse. But locals still talk about the frozen visitors who appear on the coldest nights, looking for warmth and for someone to help them find their way back. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey through the shadows of Christmas. Remember, not all holiday spirits bring joy. Some linger, waiting to be heard. If you enjoyed these tales, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Beyond the Scarlet Moon for more stories that haunt the night. Until next time, stay curious and beware what lurks beyond the glow of the holiday